A state of emergency has been declared in Harney County due to severe flooding, trapping people in their homes and destroying their valuable possessions. Plus,
biggest heart of anyone I've ever known.
A mother remembering her son after he was found dead in a Northeast Portland hotel. And also,
proud moment for the fire department here.
Nearly 10 months after burning almost half his body while responding to a fire, a Portland firefighter suits up once again. And later, with Dungeness crab back on the season menus, a look behind the curtain at the impact of the industry, not just on the state, but for individual families. The news at noon starts right now. Thanks for joining us here on the News at Noon. I'm China Green. Our top story, heavy flooding continues in Harney County with many residents still under evacuation orders. Yesterday, Governor Tina Kotek declared a state of emergency in the area. Videos and photos have been pouring into the newsroom. Our John Adams has more on the struggles of those impacted.
Rapid snowmelt due to rising temperatures in the southeastern Oregon County has flooded homes, businesses, and farmland. Drone video from the Harney County Health Department shows the flooding north of Burns. And take a look at this video. Some people stuck in their homes near Triangle City Park in Burns were rescued from the rising floodwaters. You can see a loader towing two boats with people aboard. Photos show water nearly over fence height at the park and overtaking many homes in the city. Here are residents trying to remove any personal belongings before they get destroyed. Some are stacking any items they can to keep floodwaters out of their homes. This resident is using a pump to move water into a nearby field. Locals have resorted to using canoes and kayaks to navigate the flooded town. People are being asked to stay out of floodwaters as much as possible because local sewers have also overflowed. A sizable portion of Burns remains under evacuation orders. The Harney County Sheriff's Office says they have had to perform numerous evacuations for people who chose not to leave their homes despite being under Level 3 orders. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek has declared an emergency for Harney County and the Burns Paiute Reservation.
Headed over to Rod Hill for a look at weather now. Is there anything weather-wise that would impact that area more so?
Not in terms of added precipitation. And remember the big trigger for this flooding in Malheur and Harney counties was in fact snowmelt coming off of a snowpack that in some areas are reporting sites of the Blue Mountains to the north as high as about 150% of normal snow. And a lot of that snowmelt, the trigger that really started sending the water into those river basins, was when Portland was in the 80s last week and Eastern Oregon was in the 70s. Now, I just looked, so this is current, the Silvies River, this is the one in Harney County, near Burns, if you will, has receded another 6 inches since sunup this morning. This is good news. Now, the flood stage is 12.9. The river is down to 13.5 right now, but it is receding slowly. It could be sometime tomorrow night before that river, Tuesday night, before that river gets back in its banks. As China mentioned in that story, still looking at flooding concerns out there with high water today. All right, not much active precipitation here on the west side of our state. That's good news. We do have scattered showers here on the west side. It's cloudy. There's Depot Bay from the Channel House camera along 101, and Portland at noon is sitting at 50 degrees. We'll have your complete forecast coming up, but China, a reminder that we could still see some heavy showers scattered this afternoon in your afternoon forecast.
Thank you, Ron.
We're going to eliminate FEMA. So we've got a lot to do, but it's all good, and we're working hard, and we're going to make sure that we're continuing to do exactly what you promised.
And that's the voice of U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem at a cabinet meeting last week, talking about efforts to shut down FEMA. Her comments have led to questions about who will pick up the responsibilities of the disaster aid agency, which include giving assistance to people recovering from natural disasters. FEMA also runs the National Fire Academy. But earlier this month, FEMA announced that it was canceling courses at the academy while taking a closer look at the agency's spending. KGW's Stephanie Domerat recently sat down with Vancouver City Manager on Street Talk. He said that canceling courses at the National Fire Academy will have an impact on local firefighters.
All of our firefighters are expected to have hazmat training because you never know when they go out on a call what type of things that they can encounter. And so they have to have a certain number of training hours every year, and especially for, the incoming class, new hires, they have to be able to get that training so that they're safe when they're out there doing their jobs. And so we always look for the most cost-effective way to do that with the highest level of training, and one of our best tools to do it has now been shuttered.
Stephanie covered a range of topics with Vancouver City Manager, including the city's big expansion plans and the ongoing efforts to replace the I-5 bridge. You can catch the latest episode of Straight Talk tonight at 7 here on KGW TV. You can also watch it anytime on our KGW YouTube channel or on our TV app, KGW Plus. Here's a look at some national headlines this afternoon. President Donald Trump said he wouldn't rule out a third presidential term. During an exclusive phone interview with NBC News, President Donald Trump said that there were methods to getting around the 22nd Amendment, which bars anyone from serving more than 2 terms as president, though he added that right now he is focused on the current term. This morning, United Airlines announced the FAA has approved the first Starlink internet-equipped aircraft for flight. The plane is scheduled to make its first commercial flight in May, less than 8 months after the deal between the two companies was announced. United says that they plan to equip more than 300 of its planes with Elon Musk's Starlink internet by the end of the year. A trial surrounding the $600 million class action settlement connected to the 2023 train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, is set to start today. The trial doesn't impact the settlement amount, just who's writing the checks. Norfolk Southern, whose train derailed, says 2 other companies should help pay the settlement for their role in the derailment. Many residents are still waiting to receive money from the settlement because of appeals, but some money has started to go out. And those are a look at your national headlines. For our next story, we're looking beyond the statistics as we hear from the mother of a man who was killed earlier this month. It happened along Airport Way. One person was stabbed to death, and one man now faces murder charges, but it's still unclear where the other suspect is. Celine Stevens heard from the victim's mother.
Biggest heart of anyone I've ever known.
This is Shannon Courtwright, Drew Courtwright's mom. Drew, described as a generous man and bigger than life.
He would just bust through that door and say, what are we doing today, player? You know, and I'm his mom. He calls me player, you know, and it's just funny banter.
On March 21st, Portland police stated they responded to a report of a stabbing around 8 that morning. The 26-year-old found stabbed to death inside the Sojourn Suites. Shannon says she was at work that morning when she got a call from her brother asking if she had spoken to her daughter, Jordan.
And he said, "You haven't heard from Jordan?" And I go, "Tell me she's okay." And he said, "Jordan's fine, but Drew's dead, Shannon." And man, I just know that I yelled.
She says her son was spending the night at the hotel with his girlfriend when they got a knock on the door from the suspects. According to court documents, there were 2 people involved in the assault, with one of them, 42-year-old Mitch Brian Schoonover, now being charged for murder in the first degree after being arrested on March 25th.
We went up into the elevator to the 2nd floor and found the exact spot where Drew died and prayed over it. And you can tell by the busted door frames and the walls. He gave it to him that day, you know. He fought hard for his life.
Schoonover, previously convicted of first-degree manslaughter back in 2006, also currently faces charges of unlawful use of a weapon and assault in the 3rd degree. While Drew also had past run-ins with the law, his mother says he didn't deserve this.
I'm not proud that he had a record also, but he didn't have a violent record, and he certainly couldn't kill people. And he paid his price. You know, he did his time, and he was doing phenomenal.
Drew has a twin brother and a sister, but his oldest brother Tyler passed away in 2021. A photo of his mom holding his hand is framed in their home, and Shannon says when she goes to see Drew Monday, she'll do it again.
So when I go in to see Drew tomorrow, I'm going to hold the same hand for Drew and get a picture. It may seem a little bit cryptic, but it's the last time I get to touch my babies.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
A Gresham firefighter who spent the last 10 months recovering after he was severely burned on the job is back to work today. Ashley Grahams joins us live from the Fire Training Center. And Ashley, it's a day of celebration for this department after supporting him through this recovery process.
Yeah, China, lots of smiles and hugs today as Spencer Tejadas got back to work. The fire department cheering him on as he pulled into the training center this morning. And he told me today is the first day of a brand new season. An outpouring of love and respect for one of Gresham's own. A few dozen firefighters lined the entrance of the Fire Training Center as Spencer Tejadas returned to work for the first time in 10 months.
How many hugs? How many hugs? How many hugs? Everybody gets one. Everybody gets one.
Friends across the department welcomed him with open arms and, of course, cheers.
I woke up this morning, put the uniform on, and it just felt right.
Last spring, Tejadas and his crew were at a house fire. When he heard a child might be inside, Tejadas went into the burning home. While inside, the room erupted in flames and Tejadas suffered burns to 45% of his body. He spent the next 3 months in an intensive care unit at the Oregon Burn Center. Tejadas says his arms and legs took the brunt of the burns, and a few of his fingers were amputated.
Him being hurt was a devastating blow to us, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And for him to be back is basically an uplift to us.
Just really happy to be here around the people who I love, my second family.
Proud moment for the fire department here.
Tejadas will take on an administrative role within the department.
I think I have a story to tell, a lot of experiences to share.
Mentoring new recruits and sharing his journey.
Sacrifice for sure, kind of a little bit of shock and awe. This isn't your typical 9 to 5.
Of course, he went into that fire thinking that a child was inside. It turns out no one was inside of that house, and those residents did get out safely. As for his new role with this new set of recruits, they are set to start training in about a week. China?
Ashley, thank you.